Hey friends, we'll be using through the summer and into the fall this storybook Bible called Growing in God's Love. If you don't already have one, I would encourage you to get one. We'll be reading a story each week that will also be read during live stream worship. This week, our story is based on Genesis chapter 21, verses 8 through 21. And the title is A Family Changes Its Shape. In Bible times, just like now, some children have two parents and some children have three or more. In this story, the family has three parents. Let's see what's happening. What happens when a family changes? Perhaps a baby arrives or a grandparent comes to live with you. Usually, the whole family changes. That happened to the family of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. When Hagar returned to her family, Sarah, Abraham's first wife, also got pregnant. She gave birth to a son and named him Isaac. Now Sarah, too, had a son. She was just as excited about Isaac as Hagar was about her son, Ishmael. The boys were brothers. They played together. You might think that things were back to normal, but they weren't. Sarah never got over the pain she thought Hagar had caused her. She was still afraid that Hagar would become more important in the family than she was. She was afraid Ishmael would become more important than her own son, Isaac. She just couldn't live with Hagar and Ishmael anymore. So the family split up. Everyone was unhappy. Sarah was upset. She felt that she and her son Isaac had been mistreated. Abraham was upset because Hagar and Ishmael were leaving. He got up early to see them off. He gave them food and water for their trip. He put Ishmael in Hagar's arms and he said his last goodbyes. Hagar was most upset of all. She had nowhere to go. She walked into the desert nearby. She sat down with her son Ishmael near a small bush for shade. She began to cry. She didn't know what to do. But God found her, just when Hagar needed God most. God heard them crying. God said, "Don't be afraid. There's a well nearby with cool water to drink. You'll be okay. Ishmael will be fine. He'll start a big new family. You'll have a new home and a new family." And that's just what happened. Ishmael grew up to be a strong young man. He knew every inch of their new home in the desert. He married a woman from Egypt, and they started their own family in their new desert home. Sometimes families change their shape, just like this one. When that happens, it's hard for everyone, but God is there to help people make it through. At the end of each story, there are three different kinds of questions: hear, see, and act. These questions are a way to help us think about the story and a way for you as a family to keep talking about the story. So let's see what the questions are. How do you think God speaks to you when you are afraid, like Hagar was? When Hagar saw the well, what do you think she thought? Families change when babies are born or adopted, when people are sick, when parents divorce or get married. How can you be a friend to others whose families are changing? Thank you for listening, and I hope this week you see God in your life.